Mrs. Vento, roll call, please.
Mrs. Caldwell. Here. Mr. Dowdell.
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Hickman.
Here.
Mrs. Rossler.
Here.
Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Schlock.
Here.
Mrs. Stepnick.
Here.
And Mr. Zuko.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, the board met in executive session on May 9th, May 17th, and this evening, May 30th, to discuss matters of student confidentiality, personnel, negotiations, and real estate.
Approval of minutes. Recommend approval of the following meeting minutes: April 27, 2017 voting meeting, May 9th school committee, May 17 special voting and business committee meetings.
Like to make that recommendation?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We're going to start with our student features in a moment.
Do we have our music
Oh,
department?
you know what? We'll just,
Yeah.
Ms. Lloyd, you want to come up to the microphone and just, where's the microphone?
I don't have anything for them.
Oh, we moved it, all right. Yeah, all right, Mrs. Believe, sorry, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Excuse me. We had about 157 kids go to Virginia Beach for a national competition through festivals of music, where the students were judged on a national rubric, a national scale, and also part of the competition. We had 7 groups go: string orchestra, which placed first; jazz band, which also placed first; chamber choir, which placed first; concert band, which placed first; symphonic band, which placed first; ladies chorus, which placed first; and marching band, which placed second. However, we think it was rigged. And the students also garnered many other awards. The William Ravelli Overall Concert Band and High School Jazz Band Award, Outstanding Marching Band Auxiliary, and one that we're very proud of is they got the Dr. Tim Award, not your Dr. Tim, but the Dr. Tim Lutzenheiser Award, the Esprit de Corps Award for outstanding musicianship, character, professionalism, and school spirit. That's one we're particularly proud of. So we thank you for your support in that endeavor. The students really did well with that information. There's also some validation in what we're doing is correct, and it's also given us a prescription as to which direction to continue to work and compete at a national level. So we're very proud of the students and all their achievements.
Good job. Great job. Thanks for coming out here.
There's no encore? That's it, right? All right, thank you. And again, thank you, Ms. Lloyd, Mr. DeLuce, Mr. Bronchi. Up here, they do a great job with our program. So thank you again for all your extra efforts, the things that we don't often recognize you from.
Okay,
Well, we had, what's the Plum High School Spirit Group? I don't have any of
Okay.
that.
I'm sorry. Mr. Stevens, you going to introduce the Spirit Group, or Ms. Rowe?
I do want to say that the grant we applied for, we're meeting with the foundation this Friday, so we should hear word back. It's looking very promising, so I'm kind of excited about that. So we'll have our last meeting of the year this Friday with the Spirit Group.
great.
So, Ms. Rowe, you want to take it over?
Thank you.
I hope it's okay that I stand over here after kind of acting being away I'm not sure if you all know me. My name's Kristen Rowe. I'm the librarian, library media specialist here at the high school. This year, Mr. Stevens and I have been taking a look at reimagining our space here. Obviously, this space has been here about almost 20 years at this point. So if you think about it, back when this library was designed, we were still looking at microfiche, card catalog. A lot of that is digital now. A lot of our students' needs are different from 20 years ago, so our physical space, I think, should catch up with that as well. But before I jump into some of the ideas we have for changing the physical space here, I wanted to point out what our mission statement here is at the library. Everything that we do down here revolves around our mission statement. It looks very different depending on what time of day or when you're down here. We have students coming down here visiting independently from study hall, working on their homework, using the computers. Some need to come down and work on things independently. Some need to come down and collaborate on some of their projects together. Students also see this as a place for them to come down and kind of take a break throughout the day, either read independently, maybe play a board game with other students, and things like that. They're also coming down to ask for my help on things. They see me as kind of their information expert, so I'm always answering all kinds of reference questions and giving readers advisory and things like that. And then this year, with Mr. Stevens' help, we've been introducing a lot of STEAM activities here as well. We don't have a maker space up here like we do in some of the elementary schools, so this has been kind of I call it our makeshift maker space. That's what we've been using that back room for. And then, of course, we have classes going on here all the time. I'm on a flexible schedule, so I can easily co-teach with our teachers. So they're coming down here from all kinds of classes, from biology to English to health and social studies, to get direct instruction from me. So those would be primarily research skills that I'm giving them, but also we're looking at analyzing primary sources, and this year we've been dipping our toes into coding and things like that as well. So you can see that we have a very diverse need here. Things are constantly changing down here every single period of the day, so we have a lot of different needs here. So speaking of our classes, that revolves around our library curriculum. I'm not sure if you know that our K through 12 library, we follow a curriculum that was recently rewritten. I was part of a statewide committee from 2012 to 2014 that wrote this for PDE. They appointed about a dozen librarians from across the state to rewrite our library curriculum because we had just adopted the PA Core at that point. So we thought that it was very important that the libraries also be aligned with that. Up until that point, we were following the American Association for School Library Standards. So what we did was we aligned the Pennsylvania Core with the AASL standards, and you can see here 44 of the 134 PA school standards are what we call librarian-owned. So that means that the librarian can take a lead in spearheading those standards. So that's kind of where teachers are coming down to look to me for that expertise to cover those 44 standards. And just to give you a sense of how much our library is used, just today, actually, I was starting to do some of our statistics from this school year. I'm a numbers person, so I always like to see how much our library is being used. This year, we averaged about 3,900 student visits per month. So if you divide that by the number of students here at the school, that's about each student visiting about 3 times per month. That's very rough. I have my regulars who come and see me every day or several times a week, and then others not so much. But just to give you an estimate, and that's up actually 71% since I started here 3 years ago. So it's really growing. We've already made some physical changes here that I think open it up a lot more. Kids really want to come down here to do some of their work. We also average about 2,500 independent visits per month. That would be those study hall visits. And you can see those have more than doubled since I started here 3 years ago. So that's really exploded. I think the word has kind of spread. This is the place to be during study hall, no matter what your needs are. And then we're also averaging about 66 classes per month. So that's up about 25% since my first year. That's to be expected as I build those collaborative relationships with teachers. They're feeling more and more comfortable letting me take the lead on some of their projects. And then I also wanted to point out that not only is our library a physical space, which is very important, but it's a digital space as well. Our students expect to be able to connect to us 24/7. So our library website, I have it set up through Google Analytics so I can kind of spy on them. not spy, but just see who's using it, what the purpose is. So 25% of our visits to our library website are actually outside this school building. So I can track it through the IP address. So that means that students are using that outside of school, and almost 10% of the visits are through a mobile device or tablet. So they could be on a car ride on the way to vacation and trying to get an ebook, or accessing those databases at 1 a.m. No matter what, that's available to them. So I think it's important to note that as well. So whenever we were looking at reimagining the physical space, most important to us, obviously, is the need for flexibility. Right now, you can see that we have very heavy furniture in here, that it makes it very hard to move things around from period to period. One period, I might have 80 kids in here if I have a double biology class working on something, and then the next period, we have to break up into smaller groups. It makes it a little bit difficult. Obviously, we want it to be welcoming. I think we've done a good job of that so far, just clearing out some of the older stuff that we didn't need in here. But we really want students to take an ownership in this space. It also is very busy. This is not quiet by any means. If you walk in here during the school day, you'll see lots of activity go on. Certainly no shushing here. And this should also be a safe space for students. A lot of students tell me, this is my home in the school. This is where I feel most at home. Ultimately, it needs to encourage exploration, creation, and collaboration, and that needs to be done through a highly skilled information specialist to guide that through the mission statement. And like I said, it needs to be available 24/7. That's a given in this day and age. So whenever we kind of went over all of this and we thought about what do we need for this space, this year I went and visited about a dozen secondary libraries in the Pittsburgh region just to get an idea of what some other schools in the area have been doing with their library spaces. I also attended several professional development opportunities through our state and regional librarians associations. And I also was able to meet with an architect earlier this year to get a sense of kind of the nitty-gritty, what can and can't we do in this space. So we conceived what I would consider a dream library media center. I know this isn't all, we can't snap our fingers and make this happen, but Mr. Stevens and I thought it would be important for you to know kind of where we're headed and what our end goal is. So I'm going to show you some pictures here of some other libraries in the area that I think could easily come to this area here. You know, every school culture is different. Every school has different needs. So I just kind of cherry-picked different library spaces that I liked across the region for ours here. So you can see we have a lot of potential here. This is a very big space here. So that is very good for flexibility. This main area definitely needs some flexible furniture. We're thinking tables and chairs on wheels, all kinds of different types of furniture, some big tables, small lounge furniture as well. We also talked about the need for shorter bookshelves. You can see over here, this is not very inviting for browsing. So, you know, I don't even use the top or bottom shelves because students, I can't see up there. So students can't either. And you can see when students get back there, I can't really see what's going on. Sometimes it's, you know, I'm the only one here some periods of the day if I'm not co-teaching that period. So I have to be aware of what's going on in all areas. We also talked about taking this circulation desk out in the middle. This is, you know, very big and bulky. We don't need all this space there. And then coming up with some tiled carpet. So you might have noticed in the last couple months that you've been meeting here that we took the big computers out of the middle there, and it's left some holes in the carpet, unfortunately. But this is one big piece of carpet, so very difficult to replace. So if we had tiled carpet, you could easily replace those things. So here's some pictures of examples. North Hills High School, they just renovated about 2 years ago. They have some, everything's on wheels in their library. Penn Hills High School, right down the road, they recently had a renovation a couple years ago. They have a very inviting space when you first walk in. And Indiana and Riverview also have everything on wheels. That was kind of a trend everywhere I looked. Everything is so flexible. That's so important in today's libraries. We also like the idea of having collaboration pods here. So sometimes kids do come down and they say, it's too loud in here. I need a place where I can be with just one other person or two other people to do some tutoring or work on a group project. So several libraries I visited had what I'm calling collaboration pods. Very small meeting rooms along the side of the library, having plexiglass that could close shut so that students could have that privacy if they need it, but then again, I can still see in there. They also had touch screens where you could plug in devices so that students could you know, work collaboratively. And then, of course, whiteboards for them to write on as well. So here's what that looks like. I loved Penn Trafford's. They have theirs actually painted all a different color, and people can reserve them. I'm reserving the red room or the blue room this period or whatever. The librarian there said that teachers use it a lot for tutoring as well. They'll reserve it after school to come down, or you know, the math teacher's always in the red room after school or something like that. And they also have the same thing at North Hills, and the librarian there told me the same thing. They're constantly in use. We also talked about the need to revamp our classroom. So you can see behind you, that's our classroom back there. Same problem as out here, very heavy furniture, very hard to move around, especially this year when we've been doing a lot more makerspace things. Kids want that flexibility to try and move around and work with each other, and it's very difficult to lug those things around. Power is an issue back there too. There's not a, those power boxes are very small on the floor, so some of our plugs don't even fit in there. So we talked about it would be awesome to just kind of knock out this wall and make it plexiglass so that, number one, I'd be able to see back there. So if I almost never go back there and teach because if I'm back there, I can't see what's going on here. But when we are back there, it's, it'd be very easy to see out here with the plexiglass. We also wanted to make it conducive to those maker activities, so making sure there's enough power. We also would like what I call a dirty area with a sink and tile floor where you can clean up those messes. The custodians haven't been very happy with me this year. They're used to it being a lot cleaner in here than it has been. And then also storage. It's so important to be organized with those maker activities, projects in process. You're looking around, I don't even know what's garbage here and what's not, what's a project, so very important. Riverview has a very great example of this. They just renovated last year, I believe. They have that sliding glass door. That's their maker space area. North Hills has a great classroom too. Again, the glass classroom to see outside and the flexible furniture. And again, Fox Chapel, very flexible in there. Swickley Academy also had a very nice maker space. I love the organization here. If you're here all day, every day, it's very hard to stay organized. This is something that's coming next year. We're having what we call a technology help desk. So I don't know if you can see around the corner, but over by the door there's actually a garage door that opens up. That hasn't been in use, at least since I've been here, because the maintenance department is back there now. Next year, we're planning on having students serve as tech interns. So they would work with the tech department to kind of put out some of those fires, especially if we're starting to go one-to-one with iPads. I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions that peer, one-on-one peer instruction can help with. And also staff would be able to come down and utilize that as well. Upper St. Clair has something like that. They have a great model going on. They were busy the whole time I was there with teachers coming down, students coming down with their devices one-to-one to get help. So that's, a positive for the school building, a positive for the tech department, and a positive for the students participating in that. We've also talked about adding a cafe in here. That's something that you see in a lot of libraries now, kind of that Barnes & Noble type feel. We thought up in the very front there that might be a good space for that. This is something that we thought the life skill students might be able to get some experience in. Mrs. Shuley loves this idea as well. She's a life skills teacher. So they get that real world experience. Again, something to welcome students in here, just make it a place that they want to be. We thought about, putting a main window that opens into the hallway and then building a little bit of a wall there so that there's a sliding window that opens in here as well. So, and then a little cafe area with some tables and some flooring. So you can see Penn Trafford has something like that. Elizabeth Forward also has that, and they have the double windows, one out into the hall, one into the library. And I believe both of theirs are operated by life skill students as well. So again, just something making it more inviting. Okay, so moving on to the finances of this. So when I met with the architect, he gave me a fairly large number of over $300,000 for the whole deal. So we talked about, could we do this in phases? Is this something we could pick out some of our, needs right away and then our wants later? And he said absolutely. Mr. Stevens and I also talked about approaching maybe the Plum Foundation or the PTSA and doing some sort of capital campaign. That might be something they might be willing to help us with. And then we also talked about perhaps getting business sponsors. A lot of the libraries I visited, they either had alumni who sponsored parts of their renovation or businesses. So Elizabeth Ford has a big plaque listing all the businesses in the area that donated to their renovation, different levels of sponsorship. Penn Trafford, above their cafe, it's named after an alumnus who donated the money to start the cafe. So that's something we've talked about as well. And we've also been applying for a ton of grants. So Mr. Stevens just mentioned one that we applied with the Spirit Group. That I collaborated with the students. What would you like to see in here? We should hear back by the end of the week about that. And then there's several others that are still out there floating. We have a big spreadsheet to kind of stay organized for all this because we have so many applications out right now. But that's more of a piece by piece. Rarely will you find one that will give you that much money up front. But I've just been applying, this is for the cafe, this is for the maker space, things like that. Okay. But one thing that's important to remember is the library is one of the few spaces in the school that all of the students use, besides the cafeteria, really. I see all students here at some point during the day or throughout the school year, so it's really important to make sure that we remember that. I'll send this to you later. I have more pictures and stuff if you want to look at some of the other schools linked in there. But at this time, I'd just like to thank you for your support of our library program, and I'm saying that for all 5 of us, K through 12. It's really been a blessing working here with such supportive administrators and Mr. Stevens especially this year. So I'd welcome any questions at this time, or Mr. Stevens wants to add anything. Oh,
We'll put the presentation up on the website under 2017 presentations for folks to look at, and I think it may be beneficial to leave it up there as we continue to talk about, general construction and whatnot.
I can find it.
You guys, anything else, Mr. Stevens?
No, I just wanted her to bring up the Spirit video real
Okay.
quick. The kids attended a conference last week, and they put a lot of time and effort into that video, and I wanted you guys to see it as well. And we know $300,000 is a lot of money, and I don't expect it to happen overnight. And like we've been talking about different ways to fundraise and apply for grants and contact businesses. That's like one of my goals this summer is for me and Mr. Zarmak and Mr. Gauntner to go out to local STEM businesses in the area and try to network and connect with those companies as well. So there's different, we're always talking and discussing about different ways to fund this. Okay, but like I said, the kids came up with this. You didn't play it yet, did you? Yeah. The kids created this for the conference, for the $50,000 grant that they applied, which includes turning this into part of what Ms. Rowe discussed.
Yeah, so the students created this.
What can we do to improve our school environment? We have developed a Spirit Council. My name is Summer Piper. I am the Spirit sponsor. Our group is composed of 4 cultural groups. They consist of European Americans, LGBTQ, multicultural, and African Americans. The team is made up of many role models and leaders in the school from all grades. This group consists of athletes, musicians, artists, and more. Despite our many obstacles and problems, we have had an amazing group of students and new administrators who strive to create a safe and positive environment. We want to improve our school spirit and pride by changing our environment.
Our school has been through many obstacles from sexual assaults, racial tensions, and falsehoods throughout the years. The environment can be very tense. This is such a big issue due to the students not wanting to come to school. Our team truly has the ability to help with these problems due to our hard work and council, sponsors, and staff.
We aim to provide an overall improved and safe environment for students and staff on a daily basis. Being a part of this project would highly benefit our school by promoting a healthy environment that is positive, secure, and enjoyable.
We want to redesign our school library.
In most schools, the library is the heart and home of the school. Our current school library is dull, run down, and does not inspire learning. Students do not feel welcome nor inspired to explore these topics at our library. Given the opportunity with Education Uncontained, we would like to create an inviting, supportive, and comfortable environment that encourages exploration and collaboration. Transforming our library would include adding movable furniture so students feel this is their space. Also, we would add colors to the walls and replace the ripped and stained carpet. This grant would give us a head start to our huge vision of completely transforming the library.
distractions, and, it's not something we want to avoid. It's happened, we notice it, and we're using it to grow and move on from that. So I thought that you guys should see that video with the amount of work they did, and I thought it was a really effective video, and the feedback I got from the people at Education Uncontained was that it was the best video of all the schools that submitted videos, because every school had to submit a video that applied for this grant.
So when will you find out?
Hopefully
if we
Friday.
get the grant? Friday?
Thank you for your vision and for inspiring the students. It's very evident, and it's greatly needed. So I appreciate you taking on the project, having the insight to do it, and look forward to hearing back, especially on the grants and where the kids go from there with your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to continue with the Horizons Club. Ms. Gallagher?
This is exciting because I know we're starting different features through the months. We just, again, my big congratulations to the music department, and, we've changed the format of our school board meetings on the televised meetings, where we start student features from all different aspects in the schools. Elementary, if it's, in their physical education classes, the music department, and, we heard about the Spirit Club trying to do something new and different here at the high school. And I know the Horizons Club is going to explain, I don't know if Mr. Machoni was going to come up first and explain it, or if the students were, if we have a spokesperson from the students, or we're just going to see the video? Okay, well, great. Well, you might want to come over here when you're with your video, or? Do you want to bring it over the microphone to them? Yep, you can have the microphone over there.
Good evening, everyone. We are representatives from the Plum Horizons Club. My name is Andrea Tamaro, and in order going down the line is Pat Voss, Karen DeBico, Chloe Hall, Mackenzie Kiefer, Jonathan Heener, Peter Zullo, and Luke Foster.
All right, I'm going to tell you about the goals of the Horizons Club. So one of our main goals is to create a welcoming group that allows kids from all grades and friend groups to come together and build a better sense of community in Plumboro. And another goal is to give students a chance to make a difference for others around the world by fundraising in partnership with the Africa Heartwood Project. And Horizons really opens the eyes of students to how they can make a difference not just in Plum, but all around the world, and have fun with it.
During Horizon Club meetings, students with various musical backgrounds use percussion instruments from different cultures to create a musical environment. Some of these instruments have African, Native American, and South American origins and can range from the conga to the djembe to the buffalo drum. During meetings, the students form themselves in a circle, and one student will give a set beat on their instrument. From there, students improvise with different rhythms to create an organic musical experience. It is good to note that during our meetings, we are not trying to emulate other cultures. We are simply using instruments from various cultures in order to create an enjoyable musical experience that many students do not have an opportunity to experience daily.
All right, I'm going to talk about the benefits of drumming. Some benefits of drumming are expressive benefits, such as bringing people together from different backgrounds and different cultures from the school. It builds a sense of unity because we have to rely on one another to provide the beat and to provide the rhythm. It's also a really nice creative outlet because it's music, it's very creative. There's also health benefits, believe it or not, to drumming, such as the treatment of ADHD, depression, and anxiety in other people. And this can actually be backed up by studies at Stanford in which they showed that rhythmic patterns actually directly affect the brain in a really positive manner. And also with the occupation of music therapy. In music therapy, they use a lot of drum circles in order to treat people with these types of illnesses. And then emotional benefits, along with all of that, it's a really good stress reliever because we're banging on drums all day.
So the rest of us are going to talk about the two organizations that we fundraise with. So the first one is Building New Hope, and it is a philanthropy that provides educational and job opportunities for at-risk youth here in Pittsburgh, which is kind of nice because it's close to us. They import organic fair trade coffee from a family-owned farming collective in Nicaragua, which is a developing country that is home to some of the most difficult living situations, second to Haiti. Fair trade buying allows the collective workers to earn a sustainable and stable living, and it enables more children to stay in school past 15, which is when they're expected to go out into the fields and go out into the fields and work, as opposed to being able to stay in school and get a college degree or a high school degree and then better their future.
Also, along with the Building New Hope Foundation, is the Africa Heartwood Project. The Africa Heartwood Project's primary goal is to help impoverished and rural towns in Africa. One of the most common that we've been dealing with is Liberia, and that is where most of our fundraising efforts went to. Also, the way in which they go about helping these various villages is typically by building clean water wells, as clean water sources are not very common in Africa. There are several benefits to these towns by building these wells, which we'll go into a little more depth with Peter in just a minute. However, these three, such as increasing the overall health of the place due to a better water supply, preventing violence in the trips to getting water, and even increasing the agricultural productivity, are various benefits that come from the construction of these clean water wells. Finally, the Africa Heartwood Project is fully nonprofit, and they have several ways of raising money to fund all these construction projects, one of which being selling instruments that they make that are from these various villages, and that is actually where their name comes from, Africa Heartwood being the heartwood of trees from which drums, such as the ones that we use in the club, are used. And finally, the biggest way that especially we as the Horizons Club from Plum Borough are able to assist in the creation of these water wells is by donations. And all of our profits that we gained from the Building New Hope Foundation were donated to the Africa Heartwood Project to build a water well in Liberia.
The funds we raised were donated directly to the Africa Heartwood Project, and 100% of the donations they received go towards solving the major issues faced by the people of Liberia, including Ebola outbreaks, which leave over 2,000 children homeless, waterborne illnesses such as cholera, typhoid, dysentery account for 18% of all deaths in Liberia, and long walks to limited water sources are very dangerous, and it's usually the women of the villages that walk miles alone. And dehydration during the dry season from March to May leaves already scarce water sources almost none. And this is our very own page on the Africa Heartwood Project website, Mustangs Making a Difference. It shows just what we accomplished and what our goals were.
So the Building New Hope organization is a nonprofit organization that is based in Pittsburgh, and it's where we got the coffee from. It has many charitable enterprises, such as the operation of Schools for Troubled Youth, the scholarships for said troubled youth, and their partnership with the Fair Trade Coffee Collective in Nicaragua. It is actually their main enterprise, their partnership with the coffee farms, and the money that we use to buy the coffee from them goes directly to the villages that we bought it from, and it will improve their standard of living there for many of the families.
All right, this video we're about to show you is footage from the village and the actual clean water source that we fundraised for, and it's mentioned in the clip.
This is a special place because it's the location of one of our village water projects. The cool thing about it is that it's sponsored by Dave Machoni and the Horizons Club, this group of philanthropic, music-loving students in the Plum Borough School District who have decided that they want to do something about clean water. So they have used the drumming as a platform for raising funds to put a clean water source, safe drinking water, here in Bota. I want to just give you a quick tour of the community. This is one of the big family houses that's here. You can get up to 30 or 40 people living in a house like this with multiple bedrooms. This is one of my little buddies. How are you? You all right? You show me your house, huh? All right. Okay. How are you? That one didn't have any clothes on. Can't show that on YouTube. Let's go. And here is the place where we drilled our well. I should say your well. We drilled down and we found water. We put the pipes in, we built this apron, and we are just in the final stages of developing this well and getting ready to put the hand pump on it and provide clean water for our friends here in Bogotá.
As you can see, we really do make a difference, and it's proof right there that we have truly made a difference in people's lives. Excuse me. One more thing. It didn't skip. One more thing. Looking ahead, the Horizons Club would really, really love to increase participation within the school. We pride ourselves already on the very wide variety of students that are involved, from band kids to art kids to athletes to anyone in the school that really wants to just have this amazing experience every other Thursday. With these new members, we strive to have a stronger presence in the school as well. And, of course, we would really love to continue our fundraising for these impoverished countries, but if we can continue this, we can then even fundraise for local things in Plump that need help. We thank you again for your time, and we hope you really enjoyed our presentation.
Thank you.
If you guys could circle back around, Ms. Gallagher has some certificates, and we'd love for you guys to get together and get a picture for the website.
I would like to present to Chloe Hall. Luke Foster. Patrick Voss. Peter Zolo. Jonathan Heener. Karen DePico. Lindsay Kiefer. We have one other student that is not here, Todd Griffin.
Congratulations again, guys. Thank you.
If I might, I'm sorry, Ms. Gallagher, just real quick, that was so absolutely impressive what those young people are doing, and I think it merits just some further recognition, just the fact that not just raising money for those folks, but also being culturally responsive and learning about the people that you're going to actually be impacting is taking exactly what you're doing to a whole nother level, and it's paying honor and respect to the folks that you're helping. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and please keep it up and expand everything that you're doing, and I definitely think you need to grow your club because it is definitely doing some good things. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, our next student feature is Mr. Pillig from Regency Park Elementary School to discuss the grants that they have received.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. I mean, that YouTube video is like the total mic drop moment. Let's get out of here. But what I hope you can see is that we're trying to start those kind of things as early as elementary school. So there's a video playing over there that kind of shows our edible classroom. It's kind of sped up so we can make this go a little quicker, but you'll kind of see what's going on as I talk here. This all started last year. Mr. Stevens received some grants and started introducing hydroponics into all the classrooms at Regency Park. The teachers loved it, but you know, everything wasn't so perfect as we thought it could be. So this year, around January, we decided to take all the systems we have. We had an empty classroom available, so we put everything in one place. All the grade levels were part of it. We had First grade doing herbs, kindergarten trying to do spinach and strawberries. We had second grade doing tomatoes and peppers. Third grade were planting flowers. Fourth grade had some arugula and kale, which we later cooked up in the cafeteria and had kale chips, which they all ate and loved because they were part of the growing process. Fifth grade did some houseplants, and then sixth grade, Mr. Pfeiffer, you can see right in that little area there, grew some endive because he had a classroom pet of a bearded dragon, so he was able to feed his bearded dragon with our edible classroom. But that was the original video you saw there from around February. Everything was started from seed. This is a little bit more recent. We changed some stuff around. Some stuff moved into some soil instead of just water. The aquaponics systems that we had, we eliminated for now because that's in the future. But you can see how things have changed throughout the year. During this school year, the teachers kind of used it how they wanted. They had the ability to use it whatever. Some teachers brought their kids down and they journaled and they decided how the plants grew each week. Another one just used it for studying the parts of the plants. Some used the measurement aspect of it. So teachers really had the ability to take their kids to the room, use it however they want, and we really didn't have a set system of what we wanted to do. We just were kind of getting our bearings and figuring out what the heck we're going to do with this whole thing. So after we did this, we've wanted to go a little bit bigger and better. You might have seen the big grant that we tried to get for about $25,000. Unfortunately, we got through the voting stage of it, which was impressive enough. But then we lost in the judges competition, but that's what happens when they don't allow you to see the results. So who knows what happened there. So anyhow, we had to kind of go other ways. And we found a $5,000 grant through the NEA Foundation that's going to allow us to create an aquaponic system, which is basically, I just met with one of the builders today, and it's basically a 200-gallon fish tank that will hold 20 pounds of tilapia. It will produce, we're going to do strawberries. The whole room's going to turn into basically a strawberry farm for next year. It's going to produce at least 24 plants, possibly 48 plants, just in that system alone. We also have other systems that will grow more, so the whole room should be filled by the time we're done with it. And that was our main grant that we got. We already have the lighting from old grants. We have to buy some new bulbs and things like that, but with that $5,000 grant, it will get us to take the next step. We also received a $1,000 Let's Move Pittsburgh Champion Schools, which is later on in the agenda, and we're using that to purchase a hydroponic tower, which is going to go in the cafeteria, right on the stage. It's all one system. Strawberries will be growing right off them. Kids can pick them off and eat them anytime for lunch. And then the final thing that we're most excited about is that we received a Real World Scholars Grant. And what that is, it's $1,000 that you can set up a student-run business in your school. So next year, we're going to have our 5th and 6th graders turn into entrepreneurs. They're going to be producing. They're going to take care of the whole room. They're in charge of it, whether they're teaching other students how to do it, other teachers how to do it, other community members how to do it, selling things to local restaurants possibly. We're pretty excited about what the future can hold with those 5th and 6th graders. So they're going to be the new business people in our community that are going to come out looking for places to sell strawberries, and who knows where we end up in the future. Let's see if I have. So the whole point of this is, why are we growing this? Why are we doing this? What is this doing? And the benefits are endless. You start thinking about all the things that kids are doing. Not only are those entrepreneur skills of selling and buying things and learning how to do that, but the STEM skills, the engineering skills of how the system's going to work, the pH levels, measuring that for math, the problem solving. Something goes wrong every single time. These kids have to use those real-world problem-solving skills to figure it out. The little kids can come in and learn about the life cycle of plants, learn about sustainability and how fish are helping, well, fish waste or helping plants grow, and how that cycle works in nature and how we can make it work inside a classroom. And just the healthy living. One of the most important parts I've seen this year is the healthy living. We had so many kids be part of this. My first graders probably never ate kale in their life. And I brought them in there, I tried arugula and kale. Well, maybe because I gave them arugula first, and it was so bad, and they all needed a drink of water. But then they had the kale, and they dug it. They loved it. They ate it all up. And then we cooked it and made like potato chips out of it. They had grease and salt, and they really loved it. So, you know, it's just the fact that they were part of it. You know, this is going to maybe hopefully change the way these kids are eating, how they're thinking about food and food waste. Maybe in the cafeteria next time you won't see a whole entire salad go down into the garbage because the kids knows where it comes from now. So this is kind of like a, you know, it's what this high school group just talked about, you know. Everything that they're doing is what we're trying to show in as early as the elementary age. And this goes all the way down to kindergarten. It's not anything difficult for them to understand either. It's just the access and the ability to see this stuff in action. So, again, we're hoping that we are presenting we've been recognized by the Women for Healthy Environment, and we're going to be presenting at their Healthy Schools Summit in the fall to show what we're doing in our Plum schools again. And they're the same organization that is helping us with the lead testing in our water. So we're excited to be there and show off all the great things we're doing here in Plum. And as a treat, we brought in some fresh basil and some parsley from our latest system. So thank you, and if you know anyone that's going to help us donate some plants, donate some strawberries, some starters, some money, we're up for anything. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're on to the portion of our athletic student features, and I think we have several seniors that will be recognized this evening. So just for your coach, when you're done presenting, could you please ask those seniors to come up to the microphone and explain what their plans are after Plum High School, and if they had anything else that they wanted to say about their season. We are going to start with boys volleyball and Coach Colonel Peterson.
Hey, good evening. Thank you for letting me talk tonight. I'm going to be short because I think the student athletes should actually do the talking. Some great things that are going on here, and I've got a couple great young men that I have behind me. Two all-conference selectees. One, Colin Dietert, if you come up, Colin. Colin was my ace. We call that probably your best player on the floor. When he was out there, he was probably the best player against an A team. Colin led our team in aces, serving aces, and spikes and blocks. Just an all-around. These two gentlemen are my team captains, by the way, and you can tell. I mean, how they hold themselves. Not necessarily the season they wanted, and I'll let you talk to them about that, but the season they got. And, 2 years ago we were 16-4. This year, not so well, 4-12, 4-11. But I tell you what, the guys here learn more, I think, this year than they did 2 years ago. And there's always a bright side in athletics, and that's what I love about it. And then, so I want to bring up Kenny Sellers. He's going to take a little bit to get up here. I want to talk real quick about Kenny. Kenny was in a car accident. I'm glad he's here. I was before the coaches, and we were talking about all volleyball selectees, and they said, well, tell me a little bit about Kenny, because they remember this guy because they had to plan for Colin. But Kenny was our setter. And, one of the coaches goes, I remember Kenny. He's the guy that always dove into the stands and was most likely to get injured. And, yeah, here he is. He's most likely injured. But we're glad to have him. I'm going to let these two fine young men talk about their season. Great job. You guys rock. Thank you.
I'm Colin, and I'm going to be furthering my career and I'm going to be furthering my career at Penn State Barron up in Erie, and I'm going to be continuing volleyball up there too as well. And this season we may have went 4-12, but it wasn't really about like the wins or the losses. It was more about building an experience with the other guys and like bonding as a team and learning different responsibilities and leadership that will further my career in nursing. And it's just life skills that we learned rather than the wins or losses.
Once again, we went 4-12, I think, this year, but it doesn't really show. Like, we went from 2015 all being on JV to not knowing much about volleyball, only having like a year of experience, to all of our varsity graduating and having all the responsibility of, you guys got to be great. But I mean, we did better than I thought we should have. I mean, the wins didn't really show it, but we had tournaments like our Plum tournament. We came in 4th place, which is, there were like 16 teams, so that was pretty good. And even though like we didn't do that great, I'm so proud of our whole team. Like, everyone stepped up and everyone really came together as a team. Like, no one hated each other. Like, everyone helped each other out. And being a captain, it was great for like kids like a year younger than me, showing the respect that they did that you wouldn't expect from somebody your age to show you. And it was just a great experience that I'm going to carry for the rest of my life.
Okay, our next student feature is girls lacrosse, so I'd like to call up Coach Svidron.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marlo Svidron. I will be brief, just about 55 minutes or so. We are in our 2nd full season as a Plum High School sport. First year that we were eligible as part of a Whitfield section, and I'm very proud to say we went 7-7 this year and just missed a playoff berth by a half a game. So the first season we went 0-15. So this has been quite an accomplishment. It was incredible to get that first win under our belt, and never did we imagine that we would sort of be a force out there in this section. We had almost 40 girls rostered this year and hope to keep growing. So Alyssa Monroe was really one of the leaders of the team. She, I should mention, has played lacrosse. We've been around for 2 seasons. She's played lacrosse for 2 seasons. So to come in, never having played a sport, learned it, became a leader, set the Plum High School all-time goal scoring record with 37 goals this year, 15 assists, and was chosen as an all-section award winner, having played lacrosse 2 years. So that's quite a feat. So I'd like to introduce Alyssa Monroe.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Monroe. I'll be attending Kent State next year, and I'll be majoring in nursing. And actually at Kent State, they don't have a women's lacrosse team yet, but they will when I'm a sophomore. So I'm going to play a club for a couple years and just see how that goes. And I could walk on maybe just to see how, if they're like looking for recruits and stuff. But being on the lacrosse team, like I played sports all of my life, but never have I fell in love with a sport like I did with lacrosse. And I think it was just such a new experience and such a different sport that I just loved playing it. And like everyone that I played with was so amazing. None of us really knew the sport because we didn't really have it when we were younger. So we all just kind of worked off of each other to learn how to play it, and we all just really clicked. Like she said, last year we were 0-15, and coming into this season we were like, oh great, we're gonna get killed every single game. But we all really worked really hard and came together, and that's how we won 7 games, and we were so close to the playoffs. Like the game that we had to win, we were like working so hard, but we just fell short. So hopefully next year, we have really good players coming up as freshmen, so hopefully they will make it to the playoffs and do really well. But I just want to thank everyone who has helped me along the way.
Okay, finally, we have girls softball and Coach McGrath, and I'm sure he has you have a lot of girls we're recognizing this evening. Okay. So when you call them up, I'll give them their...
All right. Team record this year was 13-7 overall, 10-4 in section. One of the things that happened this year, we had a fairly young team. We had 4 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 1 junior, and 6 seniors. The 3 of the 4 freshmen actually ended up being starters for the team. And the first half of the season in section play, we started out at 5th place. What happened the second half was that we beat every one of our section teams. It was unbelievable. For the whole season, we had told the girls that you're actually better than what you think. And finally, halfway through the season, the light went off, and they realized they were. And we clobbered every one of our section teams. So that was one of the fantastic things that happened this year. But we did end up in 3rd place. We tied with Kiski. Couldn't make section champs this year, but looking forward to that next year. I would like to thank some of the following people. Coaches Phil DiLeonardo, who's been with me for a number of years. Coach Tim Clark, my daughter Erin Diebler, who came on as a varsity coach this year. Jesse Mallon, new to the junior high. He's a junior high head coach, new this year. Karen Minke, who assisted Jesse in the junior high program. Our athletic trainer, Chloe Weiss, athletic director, Bob Alpino. And of course, the Booster organization, who's always been a great support to the girls and getting things that we, the school district, over and above what the school district provides for us. So now I'd like to introduce the girls. And one of the things that I also want to mention about these players was that we had 10 starting positions, one being a designated player who primarily was our batter. And she didn't play the field, but she was primarily a batter. 9 out of the 10 starters were recognized by our section coaches as the best. So that's something that we haven't seen for quite a while. And our 3 freshmen that I had mentioned before, they were also selected by the Whitfield coaches in our section as some of the top players. So I'm going to start at the top with our pitcher, Abby Freilich. She was selected all sections, second team pitcher. She had 13 wins, innings pitched 117.5 with strikeouts 52 and an ERA of 3.396. And that's Abby Freilich. Is she here? Where's she at? There she is. All right, so just hang tight. We have Gabrielle Fischetti, our sophomore catcher, who received honorable mention, batting average .441 with 24 RBIs this year. Reina Donatelli, a senior infielder, our shortstop, all section, second team infielder, batting average .382 with 19 RBIs. Amanda Donosky, another one of our seniors, first baseman, honorable mention infielder, batting average .435 with 16 RBIs. Chloe Fabio, our freshman third baseman, honorable mention infielder, batting average .361 with 17 RBIs. Mackenzie Lake, she's our freshman outfielder, left fielder primarily, all section first team as a freshman. Batting average is .548. And one thing I do want to mention about Mackenzie as a freshman, she beat our RBI team record of 43 RBIs. Previously it was 39, so 43 for Mackenzie Lake. So she broke the team record as a freshman. Delenn Poe is one of our seniors, center fielder, honorable mention, batting average .328 with 9 RBIs. Alyssa Schofield, freshman, outfielder, honorable mention, outfield, batting average .327 with 13 RBIs. And our designated player, Sydney Young is a junior, all section, second team, batting average .313 with 7 RBIs. And that's all the awards. The 3 other seniors that played an integral part of the team, Tara Marcigenic, Michaela Palmieri, and Nicole Polakovic. I always mess that up. I have messed that up for 7 years. And also our freshman, Lindsay Soprano, who served actually in a number of different roles. She served as a catcher a couple games, an outfielder, and mostly as our courtesy runner and scored a number of runs for us. So that's the team. Yes. So she gets to come up and talk about future plans.
Hi, I'm Deline Poe. I am graduating this year, obviously. I'm going to Robert Morris University to major in communication media arts. Better. Of course I break it. Thank you. Not sure if you could hear me, but I'm going to Robert Morris University to major in communication media arts. And it's funny, my name is spelled with two N's, not two E's, so that's wrong, but funny anyways. I'm going to try and play club softball next year because Robert Morris is D1 and I didn't get recruited, but I love this team with all my heart. This has been my favorite year, one of my best years to go out on, and they are great, and I'm hoping that they'll do very well next year. You guys have a lot of potential.
Girls, can we get a picture with coaches if they're here and over there? And we'll take a brief 1-minute break. So students that are here that need to leave to return to their homework or finish studying for finals can do so. But again, thanks to all the students who have represented our community with pride. Okay, congratulations again. And let me know when you're ready, and we'll continue with our agenda. Mr. LaVerse, ready? Okay.
At this time, I'd like to invite any citizens to come forward to make citizens' comments.
You can go.
Chad Salerno, 740 Wolf Frankstown, Boys Park Road. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend the forum, the School Board Candidate Forum, which was great. Not a bad word to say about it. I got to see and hear from, people that are presently sitting on the board or trying to get on the board. Mrs. Stepnick, Mrs. Wetmore, Sandstrom. Great information, very informative. Not a bad thing to say. Which leads me into my next thing. So there's two words I mentioned, information, informative. I've been coming to these school board meetings since January, and I presented myself, I might raise my voice, I sit there and I talk to you guys with blank stares, and I realize maybe that isn't your issue. Maybe you shouldn't be blamed for that, because I feel that you haven't had the right information. You haven't been informed of what's been going on. I could sit here and tell you that I've talked to several people. There's a video, not on YouTube, but an actual school video of what went down with my daughter. I saw it. Have anybody on this board, has anybody seen it? Which you have a right to see it. I don't care about FERPA and all that stuff. It's a public safety issue. You guys are in the schools. You go in these classrooms. You're with the students. You have the opportunity to see that. Because your jobs as school board members are twofold. Offer guidance and to guide the superintendent and the administration. But how can you do that without any information? So for all the months I've stood here, and I've raised my voice and I've yelled, and I realized you guys didn't have the information. So just in a brief description, I'm going to tell you what happened. And you can take and judge it for yourself. My daughter's sitting here, back to me. Student A, the attacker, is at 45, or is directly behind, 15, 20 feet. Student B is on a 45, 15 feet away from my daughter, behind her. Student B looks at her phone, gets a text message, looks up at the attacker, shakes her head, positions herself behind the attacker. The attacker readies herself. The attacker walks up, grabs my daughter by the head, unbeknownst, pounded in the face, bruised orbital, scar on the nose, and emotionally distraught. So you want to know why I'm here every week, month after month? That is why. Maybe I've been abrasive to some of you, and for that I apologize again. Mr. Geller, you didn't have the information. Stepnick, some of you guys didn't have this information. Most of you don't have this information. None of you do. So how can you make an informed opinion without the information? What, out of all this mess that's gone on, what has been resolved? Other than me standing here talking to the superintendent, to the solicitor, to every board member. So I have a hypothetical question. This hypothetical question is basically for the board members, the solicitor, mostly the solicitor, Dr. Glasspool, the board, anybody here. So Tony just entered the back room over here, and he's walking up behind you. He's going to grab you behind your head. He's going to grab your head. He's going to start pounding your head. What do? He just grabbed you and smacked you in your head. What do? What do you charge him with? Not an opinion of what should be done, but what is the law? It was premeditated. He just walked in the door, grabbed you by your hair, started pounding your face. Is that assault? In the real world, if I did that right now, would I be charged with assault? No answers? No questions? Most of you, when I said that, looked behind your shoulder to see if somebody was coming through the door. That was a fictitious character, made up. But yet, my daughter and other people who have been assaulted in this school are expected to walk through these halls looking over their shoulders over somebody that's very, very real. So I ask you, what are you going to do? What is going to be done? I got to say this, but for the last few months, I've let you guys have the ball. The ball's been in your court. I'm taking the ball back. The game is on in my court now. So we could either resolve this like men, or you could keep running up the bill, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because that's what it's going to be, or you can work it out with me. And that's all I have to say. Have a good evening.
Jordan Roman, 901 Unity Center Road. Okay, like I said, I'm Jordan Roman. I'm a junior here at Plum Senior High School, and I'm here to talk to you about graduation requirements and the scheduling. I sound like I'm gonna cry, but I promise I'm not. That's just my voice. So state requires 4 history credits to graduate. As a board, you have decided that we need 4. I was wondering, or I guess I'm asking, if there is any other option, because I would like to replace that with another science. It only makes sense because, I still sound like I'm gonna cry. It only makes sense because for a career, I wanna do engineering. I wanna go to a top school. It's not like I'm trying to slack off or anything. I'm number 1 in my class. I have a 4.7. So I'm not gonna cry, I promise. I just sound weird. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't really important to me and if my mom wasn't over there supporting me. So if there's any option, because I'm just trying to better myself, I'm trying to look out for my best interests. Believe me, I'm super nervous right now, but it doesn't hurt to try, so.
Thank you, Jordan. You plan to go into engineering? You plan to go into engineering,
Yeah.
so the science would be advantageous for you
yes.
to get into where you want to go. And I
Yes.
believe you were looking at some pretty Ivy League schools as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With your 4.7.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other information you could give the board now would be probably the best, if anybody has any other questions.
Well, currently I have 7 AP classes under my belt because it's as many as I could. Next year, regardless of what your answer is, I'm going to take 6, pretty much doubling it. Our school, thankfully, has all of these AP classes that we can take. Hi, Mom. Has all these AP classes that we can take that a lot of other people don't have as an option. So I really just want to put my best foot forward to put myself out there when it comes to college time. I'm doing a summer program at Duke University, which is ranked like 8th or something now. So I'm really psyched about that, and it'll be on biomedical engineering, so that just goes more into the sciences and how it would help. And yeah.
Just a comment. Thank you for sharing. Congratulations on your success and
Thank you.
future success. Just for the board's clarification, we require 4 social studies. The Chapter 4 regulations say 4 humanities. It's typically 3 social studies. There's a different calculation. What I would say is I'd like to have you work with Dr. Yaminski and Mr. Stevens for alternatives.
Okay.
Good enough?
Yep.
And again, the board has considered graduation requirements as a topic of priority for us to look at in the near future. But again, you would need some kind of conversation now. So I would ask you to talk to them.
Okay.
Okay?
I'd like to add also, there might be something through the AIU that could help you, because we participate with the AIU and they have online programs available. So Dr. Yamniski
You want
can
to
work
take a
with you
class
on
that we
that.
offer, though? Is that?
She wanted to take AP Physics too.
Yeah.
Her mom, Kim Hills, is the same address, but she's already taken, she took her AP course, she took Honor Civics and 2 AP Histories already. She wanted to take AP Physics too to replace, because it's a science.
I think I understand what you're saying. It's not a waterfront learning issue. It's a graduation requirement issue.
Right. The state requires 3, she misstated. The state requires 3, but Plum requires 4 histories.
Well,
And
you
she
have to
did-
check on the humanities also.
Right, in Program of Studies, it shows AP Psych is listed under there, but
Mhm.
she got credit as an elective course for it.
Mhm.
So even if that could count as one of her social studies.
If we gave credit for that as
Yeah.
humanities, that would work.
Absolutely. What I'm saying, again, is I think that you need to talk to Mr. Stevens and Dr. Yamniski, and they can certainly help you out, and I don't think we'll have any problems here.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Hi, Debbie Bell of Jackson Road. I have, Dr. Glasspool, I have a question for you. Do any of our board members have all their clearances, like we, the PTA members, have to have for like field trips and overnight visits and things of that nature?
I don't believe the board is required to have clearances to fulfill their duties as school board directors. I don't know. I believe they do not, but
If I may, the board does not need clearances to serve on the board. However, if a board member is an individual parent, wish to go on a field trip or whatever the case may be, that board member in that case would need clearances at the same level as any other person in Plum would need.
And
But
many of
just
us
to be
need
on the
them for our
board, the answer
employment.
is no.
I have mine for my employment. It's required in acute care, health care setting.
I have
Acute
all mine
healthcare.
as well.
I've had mine for years. And also through volunteering at church, it's required.
My next comment is, Dr. Glasspool, you should be very proud of 2 of your administrators in this building, and I know you guys have all got kicked around bad this year. As one of the directors for Bowl for the Cure, we have a former alumni of Plum who sponsors 2 teams out of this district every year. This year we had Team Stevens and Team Wolf. They sent the cream of the crop to come down to participate. One of our young gentlemen named Colin, I believe he was on Team Stevens, won the 50-50 and returned it back to Bowl for the Cure to go for breast cancer. I cannot tell you the way these students participated. Mrs. Stepnick was there. She can tell you they were above and beyond what you would want out of this district. Both Stevens and Wolf both came. Stevens is the cheerleader. Wolf was a participant. But I just wanted to let you know, because I know you guys have had one heck of a year. Thank you.
thank you.
I guess I'll add to the one heck of a year. Pam Salerno, 740 Old Frankstown, Boys Park Road. This is probably the last time I'm going to speak. I will keep coming to these meetings for as long as I live here or want to live here. My daughter finished her freshman year at Waterfront. Education, 0. 0. Take a look at her grades. They're posted. They're open. She should have been in this building receiving her education. But that was robbed from her. Robbed. Robbed from a man sitting on this board right in front of us. Robbed from some administration in this building. Robbed from somebody who did this to her. Yes, I seen the video. And like my husband said, one day you will all see the video also. Disgusted. As a mother, you don't want to watch this video because my stomach turned. Now, my daughter is in therapy to deal with what happened to her. Therapy that I have to pay. My bills right now are over $5,000 of therapy. $5,000 for my daughter. Somebody is responsible. Yes, the student, let's say the other student who did this to my daughter is responsible. You know, we are who we are depending on some leaders, some leadership. We really need to take a look at the leadership. I also went to that sit down, and I will tell you I slept very well that night because I have hope now. I have hope. I will not stop until there is justice for my daughter. I will not stop until my daughter is in this school and the other student will not have the right to be in this school. My daughter will walk in this building next year with her head held high, and she will get the education she deserves. You know why? Because I will make sure she gets the education she deserves. And I will do whatever I need to. I have been an educator for over 20-some years. And I will tell you, I don't know, Mr. Glasspool, how you sleep at night. I really don't know. Think about that the next time you walk into the church. Think about your confession. Think about it, and I hope you sleep well.
Any other citizens' comments? The agenda, please.
Facilities Committee, Mr. Rich Zucco, Chair. Recommend approval of Regency Park GOB invoices as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
As always, I'll be voting no. There's no construction project, so I don't consider these GOB invoices.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Recommend approval of the remaining GOB invoices as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation also.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the grant from Women for a Healthy Environment for lead in drinking water testing for an amount of $5,000.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation also.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I want to thank Mrs. Wetmore for bringing this to our attention. We were about to spend thousands more, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Also, just like to thank Michelle Nacarati-Chapkis, who's the director down there, who increased our available funding to the limit of $5,000, so thanks to her. Mr. Zucco has a report this evening.
I have a short report. We did have some concerning item number 3, the water testing. We did have some water tests done in May, and the results are very good. I don't think we have any problem there. The next item was that in May we had our last and final meeting forum with the parents concerning the reconfiguration of our school district, and those results will be summarized. I think they've been posted on the website already, and we're going to have deep discussion now that everybody's had a chance. I think this is our 4th or 5th meeting, and good ideas have gone back and forth, so now it's coming to a head, and we expect to have some serious discussion with those results in the next month or 2. And that's all there is on that end of the spectrum. Thank you.
I have a question. So when do you think the board will have a decision on that, since we have the information now?
I haven't the slightest idea. The way this board operates, if it operates the way it should, we could have results probably before the end of summer, I would say. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Like I said, I was ready to make decisions 6 months ago and a year ago. I didn't hold things up, so I don't know. I don't know what the board's going to do.
I mean, you're chair of facilities, and that's why I asked that. But one of the things that was brought to my attention, because I came to the last meeting, I didn't go to all the reconfiguration meetings. But one of the things that struck me was the fact that had we built a 2-run school or have overbuilt for what we need since our enrollment's going down, we would have lost state funding for being under capacity. And that's a big red flag. So not only would we have spent money on a 2-run school that we don't need, also the state would penalize us with funding. I mean, that just, I don't think that needs to be much of a decision, Rich.
The decision is not to whether or not to build the 2-run school. That's already been decided that wasn't going to get done. The decision is what are we going to do instead.
Well, O-Block, you were talking about spending $14-15 million on adding on to O-Block.
Well,
I mean, that would have brought us to, under capacity.
Well, again, I don't know what the board's going to want to do because it's not my decision. I'm chair, but I don't make the decision. What we have here is we had, I think we started off with something like 76, 77 parents. I forget how, gradually it dwindled, a lot couldn't make it to all the meetings. But basically, they gathered information and they viewed their opinions and what they thought was important. And I thought Dr. Yaminski did a very good job of organizing that and summarizing the results. What we do with it is up to the board. We have an option of it. Some people want to expand the junior high and make it into a middle school. Others want to go keep it as a K-6 scenario. Some want to go to a middle school concept. Some want to move 5th grade to a different school. That's what we're going to have to discuss now. But we've had the feedback from the public and the parents, and like I said, what the school board does with it.
But we have the information. We had this is our second demographic study. We have the numbers. The information isn't going to change. I'm just saying, as chair of facilities, I ask that you move this along quicker rather than.
Well, you can ask me all you want, but I mean, it's been over a year since the Regency Park 2 school run school was stymied and stopped, and I've been trying to get it moving since then, and now all of a sudden you're telling me you want for me to move it forward?
So it's an agenda, it's a discussion item on June 6th, construction, renovation, and redistricting.
Great,
So it's on the agenda to discuss next Tuesday, June 6th.
Right, and I think
I would
that's fair,
encourage the
Rich,
bo-
because I know Sue and Steve have consistently brought up, to see if they actually fit, and with construction, minor construction, they basically would fit through a K through 6. We've been asking for that for a year and a half.
We were told no for months.
We get told no. So I mean, I just want to see this progress. I want this in our plan. It's in our strategic plan. I want to see movement on it. I wanted to see a decision made, educated decision, not based on emotion, and make sure it's the right decision for the school district, Rich. That's all.
I agree with Mrs. Rossler. We've been talking about this for a year and a half, and we had the results of the demographic study. We now have the results from the community groups, which was mainly parents, some educators, some community members. We have their results. We need to hear from Dr. Glasspool and the administration, and I'm ready to make a decision tonight, quite frankly, because it agrees with my philosophy that I've felt all along. However, I think we still need to sum it up in June and make a decision at the end of June. We have the information from Davis Demographics, which quite frankly is very close to the 2012 study that we paid for. So really, this study, I
Confirms
voted
it.
no because we had the information in front of us already. This
Again,
verified
so-
it, and we need to sum that up and make a decision in June.
So
I
all
think it's
that
time to move
information
on.
has been made available on the district website under 2017 public presentations, as well as the conversation's been going on for at least 18 months with
Yes.
this group of individuals. So, as soon as 5 people make a decision and we move forward, that's when we can kind of continue. So I hope to have a real conversation with direction and what the board needs to make that decision on June 6th.
Dr.
Wonderful.
Glasspool,
That would
can
be
you
wonderful.
please, Dr.
Yes.
Glasspool, could you please repost for those that don't know what the strategic plan is that this current board has adopted?
You mean our PDE strategic plan?
The strategic plan that was just cited. I'd like the whole, I'd like the community to have it, because I don't quite frankly know what it is either.
Are we talking about the PD strategic plan? I don't know what strategic plan we're talking about.
Our strategic plan.
Which one is anybody referring to?
Okay, I will make sure that we post that up under public presentations 2017 with a note that it's not a strategic plan from 2017, if that makes sense. I don't know.
We'll keep the Davis Demographic Study
It's
on the
up.
website.
It's up.
That will be there for the community to review. Please review the Davis
All the
Demographic
information's
Study.
up
It's
there.
very informative.
All the information from the prior studies are up as well. Information's been up and has been posted for over 18 months.
So our goal is June 6th, correct? To come up with a decision to discuss it?
I hope the
No,
board makes a
we'll
decision.
come up with a discussion, and I don't think, I don't know why you want to pin down a specific date for a decision, and I guess because you like to grandstand and say, well, if you didn't do it on
Rich,
June 6th.
that's a personal attack.
No,
that
you're
person
doing,
constantly throw
you
personal
wait
attacks
until,
at
you
me.
wait until a voting meeting to discuss this. I just announced we had all the information, and we're going to have a meeting, and it's all going to be summarized. And rather than you say, okay, let's do that, I want a date. I want a date.
Rich.
Then you bring up all the other stuff that we've discussed time after time after time.
Rich, watch the meetings.
How about you finish your report and we move on?
Well, no, I'd like the response since he
No,
decided to
no.
throw a personal attack
We
at me.
Oh, that
we
wasn't a
have
personal
meeting
attack.
next Tuesday. We'll discuss it then.
But I asked him, all I asked for is a date, and I think that's fair. It's his committee
We have a
for 2
meeting next
years.
Tuesday,
That
June
wasn't a
6th.
personal attack.
That
If
was
it
a
was,
personal attack.
I'm-
All right,
I
so
apologize
we'll
for
have some
that. That's all it
conversation
was.
about this on the 6th. The information's up. I really hope that the board makes some decisions so that we can continue to plan as we continue to move forward, so we have smooth transitions for all involved. I'm going to move on to the Personnel Committee. Mr. Steve Schlock, Chair. Recommend approval to accept the resignation of Natalie Flanagan, food service worker, retroactive to May 3rd, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make that recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the resignation of Cheryl McGuire, bus driver, retroactive to May 12, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make that recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the resignation of Nick Carlsano, bus driver, retroactive to May 16, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the retirement of James Bateman, bus driver, effective at the end of his shift on June 1, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the retirement of Cynthia Vento, confidential secretary to the superintendent and board secretary, effective the end of her workday on June 30, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second? Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Dr.
Enjoy your
Glasspool?
retirement, Cindy.
Dr. Glasspool, can we keep her? Find a way.
Sadly, I have to vote for this. I just love her dedication for the past 21 years of this district, so thank you.
Sure you'll enjoy your retirement. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. You got one more meeting, right? Yes. Okay.
Travel time.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to thank Ms. Vento for her dedication to the district and the school board. Ms. Vento has worked for the district since 1996, and in her current capacity since 2004. She will be missed and not easily replaced. So thank you again. Recommend approval to appoint Stephen Miles, Network Administrator, effective June 1, 2017, and a prorated salary of $53,500.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire Don Wilson, print shop operator, at the contracted rate with an effective date to be determined by the superintendent.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to appoint Patricia Savinda, cook manager at Center Elementary School at a salary of $21,285.60 per year, effective July 1, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire Holly Lambert, food service worker at Plum Senior High School at the contracted salary rate, effective May 31, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend recalling from the furlough list Colin Prokopic, English teacher at O'Block Junior High School, effective August 24, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire the following teachers at the contracted rate, effective August 24, 2017, as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to appoint the following transportation staff as listed at the contracted rates, effective May 31, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire the following substitute transportation staff as listed at the contracted rate, effective May 31, 2017.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire the following summer activities instructor beginning June 5, 2017 through June 22, 2017 at an hourly rate of $14.63 as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval of maternity-paternity leaves for the following individuals as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval of an intermittent leave in accordance with the FMLA for the following employees as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I will make that recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to increase the summer transportation wage to $12.50 per hour.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire the following special service sponsors for the 16-17 school year at the contracted rate as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I will make the recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Education Committee, Mrs. Susan Caldwell, Chair. Recommend approval of student adjudication for student E.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, at the request of the board, I do want to point out a couple of things. This board often looks at and has to make adjudications relative to students, and obviously, because of the confidentiality of students' names, et cetera, cannot comment on the specifics of any particular disciplinary action that may come before you. However, I think it's important to understand, and that the public understand, quite frankly, that oftentimes matters that come before you are of a serious nature. And frankly, if they come to you, are of a serious nature. This board has and will continue to treat those matters seriously and has treated such things as weapons violations, bomb threats, et cetera, as serious matters that deserve serious actions on behalf of the board, including expulsions where appropriate. And that action has been taken in a number of cases. That is not to comment at all on the case that's before the board today, but is meant as a general statement as what I believe the board has done and wishes to continue to do as you move into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews, for clarifying and sharing that with the community.
Item 2, recommend approval of the following overnight field trip requests as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to vote for Joshua J. Miller to fill the vacant seat on the Allegheny County Schools Health Insurance Consortium Board of Trustees.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Is this the Phil Sal's position?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the master lease purchase agreement with Apple Incorporated as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the Let's Move Pittsburgh Champion School grant of $1,000 to Regency Park Elementary School.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the Plumboro Foundation for Educational Enhancement grants as attached. They total $3,200.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend granting approval to Topanga Productions Incorporated / Iron City Film Works to film in June 2017 at Pivot Elementary School, pending final approval by the solicitor, which we did today, and that agreement was attached.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mrs. Caldwell has a brief report today.
Thank you, Dr. Glasspool. The board will be looking at our high school sections. Mr. Stevens is working diligently on that, getting those numbers to us. So we'll be looking at that at our committee meeting, the schools committee meeting in early June. Public input, of course, is always welcome. And I just was going to reiterate that we had received the information from Davis Demographics, and I wanted to thank all the community members, parents, educators, citizens who participated in the parent and community forum and shared their information. They've submitted their conclusions from their groups to the board for review, so I anxiously look forward to discussing that, having a robust discussion with the board in our early June meeting, and then moving on. If we can move something on from that committee meeting for a vote on our voting meeting at the end of June, we can finally make a decision and put our parents and children's minds to rest to know that we'll be moving on with a plan for the future of how we're going to configure our schools. So thanks again for all your input. Decisions should be near.
Thank you.
Dr. Glasspool.
Finance Committee, Mrs. Michelle Stepnick, Chair. Recommend approval of the Treasurer's Report and bill payments for April 2017 as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the May budget transfers as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to renew the PSBA All Access membership for the 17-18 school year as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept an agreement with EdgeClick Publisher as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5 is informational only, but I do want to vote on it, just because it's already on the agenda. It was court approved. So recommend approval to the resolution to sell the property at 3411 Leechburg Road to Vigliotti Landscape and Construction Incorporated for $216,000. This is the old bus garage property over the hill here, and that is more than we were asking for as it went to sealed bid via the court documents.
And that will cause the property to become taxable.
Yes, so we only have
Bonus,
to vote on it.
small bonus to
but,
the community.
Just for your information, okay? Mrs. Stepnick has a brief report this evening.
Yeah, I'm actually going to combine legislative and finance since they're, I think, both tied at this point. Currently, as of today, I spoke with Representative Markosik's education staff, and the last, I guess, group to come to the table with their budget recommendations before they all go to conference is the Senate Republican caucus. So hopefully in the next week to 2 weeks, they see that, or hopefully next week. In addition, there should be a pension bill coming in through the Senate next week, but there's no immediate relief. It's all back to the hybrid, but at least they are looking to do something for the future. Again, I brought up the fact that other board members from other school districts, when we were there, discussed potentially seeing if we can extend this a little bit beyond our current, requirement to at least maybe give our district some relief, because we are raising taxes just to pay for PESers from years of not saving or funding them appropriately, and that's statewide. That's not just here in Plum. So we discussed that as well. Hopefully, everything else is stagnant. The $2 million, Mr. Hickman, for the lunch program, or I'm sorry, the breakfast program is still holding and in the budget. So that should hopefully help with that department. And the numbers, they said the revenue just got worse, and so the numbers are not getting any better in Harrisburg for us. And with that said, on May 17th, we voted on our preliminary budget. It's posted on the website, and our final vote is June 20th. So I guess you'll see that on June 20th. Any other recommendations or suggestions, please bring them to us during our committee of the whole. That's it.
I have discussion. I have a question about why the budget workshop was canceled on May 23rd.
I think it was decided at the budget workshop prior that as we went through all the lists, the majority of the board that was there said there was no, I think all of us pretty much agreed that there was no reason to continue on to going to May 23rd. So I'm hoping if numbers change, we all can get back together in June, or I'm hoping, we get some, I was hoping today that we'd have more information coming out of Harrisburg, but we don't.
Because my concern is that back in January, I discussed board members bringing 5 ideas because, Steve had brought some ideas and board members didn't like what he had to say. So instead of just saying that, I feel that he was, not treated fairly. So I asked board members to bring 5 things that you support on the expenditure side to cut. And I didn't really see a lot of that conversation at budget meetings. Now we're in the direction we're just going to raise taxes and we're going to borrow again. And I looked at the strategic plan that John had given the board in the report on Friday, and it concerns me because with tax increases, we've already had 2 in a row, and it didn't say how many more years he was planning on, the community being taxed, raising taxes. And also, there's teachers' jobs in there, consolidation. There's things in that report, if that was the report that was given to Standard & Poor's, that it doesn't look pretty. There's certain things that has to happen, but we're no better off than we were yesterday. And I still feel that this board didn't do its due diligence. I didn't hear board members bring 5 ideas that they support. I didn't hear it. I just heard, we don't want to do that, or yes, we'll vote on bringing Chinese students in, things that didn't happen. and we were back in the same boat. You know, I said 2 years ago, this board did not have a strategic plan, or last year I said it when I was on the board. Now we have a strategic plan and a financial forecast because we have a new business manager, but it still doesn't look good.
I definitely brought ideas. I know I was one of the ones that was not
What
a
were
fan
they?
of. Kelly Services, didn't like that, got shot down.
Yeah.
Aramark, I mean, we're still.
We supported that.
We're still in that conversation with
Yep.
Aramark.
But I don't think that, that was one of mine.
I did.
Yeah.
And
I
we
did.
have.
When we would say them out loud, John wrote them down.
I didn't hear that. Michelle, what ideas did you support?
I never supported cutting a position or a program, so no.
Oh, I
But I
never
did
said
give
that.
John ideas. We discussed looking at various services that we get through the AIU and seeing where we can find them elsewhere to help us save money, and I believe that there's a $50,000 savings in the budget with that. We discussed Airmark way back in the beginning of September, and you know, I've had discussion with John all along.
The budget's also on the agenda for the 6th.
Right.
We can talk about that, but I just want the community to know that the budget workshop was canceled, and here we are now at the voting meeting, you know, because we had a previous voting meeting that the board, majority of the board agreed to raise taxes and borrow $5.6 million again.
I agree with Vicki. She makes a lot of good points, and we did next to nothing on expenditures. And any way you look at it, it's an irresponsible budget. I think the taxpayers deserve better, so.
What do you think should be cut?
I mean, we need to discuss that, and I mean, I brought up ideas that were turned down, but we need to come
Let's
up.
discuss this at the finance meeting. This is the place for discussion.
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, or do we want it on the televised one, or do we want
Yeah,
it
it
to
seems
be
like
at the
that's where we're
budget
going.
meeting?
So where do you want to
Steve wants
cut?
to say in the televised meeting what he would like cut, then maybe that's what he should do
I
right now.
came up with some ideas where it
Because I
turned out
feel
we
like
should come
we've
up-
had meetings, and this is, we sit here and we add on and we tack on to what we already had committee meetings. And then we tack on here and we have discussion and more discussion. We've had massive discussion.
I don't think we
So if you
have.
want to add what you would like to cut, Steve, I would like to hear it for the
Well, I think we need
televised
to-
community. Because that's what we're missing. That's what we're missing. Someone's going to go to the budget committee meeting, and we're going to have 4 people in the audience. 4.
If we're
4.
lucky.
So transparency, let's talk.
I think there were many ideas brought
There
forward
were.
for expenditure cuts. Not only did we not cut, we spent more. We gave
That's right.
administrators in our Act 93 contract,
Who's right?
some of
Yeah.
them hefty raises. When our superintendent and it has agreed to take a pay freeze, and I believe our assistant superintendent as well. So this is something that's, to me, irresponsible when we're in a budget crisis. I believe we're now the 5th worst school district in the state. We got the report
The
this
5th.
week. The 5th worst school district in the state for fund balance. That's frightening. With the level of income and the socioeconomics of a district like this, we need to take some drastic actions. I'm not saying cut programs, I'm saying what we need to do, and I've said this all along, is match staff to student enrollment, which is declining.
And
we
we've
haven't
done
made
that
any
over the last
efforts
10
towards
years.
that. We have 100 teachers in the high school this year, and we're projected to have 100 teachers in the high school next year. We have 250 empty seats. So show me on paper where we have addressed that over the past 5 years, but we are
We
not
keep
currently.
saying that.
So
We
we
were
may
at-
have,
we
but
had
what
10
are we
years
doing
ago, we had
moving forward?
295 teachers, and now we have 268. It followed the...
When was 90, where when there was
the trend,
294?
It followed the...
When was the
followed
294, Kevin?
About 10 years ago.
So we went from
I mean, you
10
think
years.
It's like we haven't
But we've
discussed
lost
this.
The student enrollment reduced by 10%,
So I-
and our faculty
I don't-
reduced by 10%.
I think that if you want to have a healthy discussion, I think we can do that.
I gave
But
my
I think
2
it's
ideas.
difficult.
I might
I
not
think
have
it's
had 5,
difficult.
but maybe Steve should give us his 5 cuts. And Vicki, you should tell us what
I
yours
have
are,
mine. Mine were pay freezes. Gym class was an option for students involved in athletics, promote dual enrollment, close Regency Park School and consolidate, put supplies out to bid, and promote online classes.
And those
But
are
you know
all
what?
things that
Here's
we're
the-
still discussing.
Here's the
But
thing.
it's too
This is
late.
how
We
this
just
is how
went.
democracy works, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, people bring ideas. They agree with them. They disagree with them. If your idea loses, it loses. Let's keep it moving.
But here's
That's
the problem I
no,
have.
I'm not-
Here's the
I'm not-
problem I
I'm not
have.
done talking, Ms. Rossler.
Oh, sorry.
This is democracy. Okay, I mean, so that's been the process. People brought forth ideas. Steve, you brought forth some ideas. The board didn't agree with it. They were heard. They were discussed. We have to move forward. We have the budget that we have. Nobody likes the fact that we have to raise taxes. But the numbers are the numbers. I taught social studies, but I know math. And math says we don't have enough income coming in. Ain't brain surgery, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants to raise taxes, but guess what? We're going to have to. And if we're going to make cuts, then you make them surgically and not with a hatchet.
Right.
So, and if it has to be cutting teachers, then that's what it has to be. But you can't just do it willy-nilly and on a whim. You have to go by what the numbers say. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I don't think anyone asked for it.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I asked to cut
Well,
teachers.
I'm using my terminology here, but you have to, it's not just cutting teachers. You have to look at the schedule. How do things fit within the schedule? There's more to it than just, well, we have this many students and now we should cut this many teachers. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
That's why we have professionals who will lead us in that direction.
And
But they
that's,
have to
that's
be
why
given-
they've made us those recommendations.
They have to be
And-
given guidance.
No, they've been given guidance. They've given us the recommendations for the amount of staff that we need. But then those folks who don't like it say that the numbers aren't right. So what we gonna do?
I don't agree with that, because when I sat at a board meeting 2 years ago, I heard an administrator say we need 13 runs, and the numbers are the same, then they aren't, I mean,
And now we find out that we don't need.
we don't need 13 runs.
Yeah, we were originally told.
With
that we-
another demographic study paid for with taxpayers' dollars.
Another
When we
study.
had the information from the 2012 study.
All right, are we gonna keep it moving now?
Ready?
Mr. President, we moving forward?
I'd like to.
Thank you.
Next.
Policy Committee, Mrs. Vicki Rossler, Chair. Recommend approval to accept the following policies as listed, and I'd like to just give you a brief overview here. Policy 006 deals with meetings and how we conduct meetings, how we call meetings. There's a combination of two policies, 903 and 006, into one policy. Policy 246 deals with school wellness. It came out to be as part of our National School Lunch Program audit. Policy 707 we talk about frequently here is the use of school facilities. What it will do, it made current due to our new facilities with building closures and gyms being consolidated and also new parts of new facilities being available. It also discusses specific timelines and deadlines for organizations. So after today's meeting, we'll send that out to as many constituents as we can, PTA boosters, et cetera, as well as the contacts for the clubs that use our facilities. Policy 815 is acceptable use of internet, has been updated to include social media and security cameras. Policy 815.2 is a new policy that deals entirely with social media and discusses staff and student guidelines and expectations. Policy 822 is a wellness program, again, National School Lunch Program audit recommendation. Policy 915, relations with school-affiliated organization, has a National School Lunch Program recommendation for fundraisers, as well as Policy 707 implications. In other words, if you are a Policy 915 organization, you have to be current on the Policy 915 before you can submit Policy 707 requests for use of facilities. Also included is a video surveillance acknowledgement form that has guidelines for end users.
On behalf of the committee, I would like to make a recommendation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On June 6th, we do have a committee of the whole meeting, and other items that we continue to discuss at that meeting will be policies, specifically the class size policy, several policies relating to hiring practices, use of vehicles, I believe, is on there, and also it's the first review of the intellectual policy as well as the internal review board policy, institutional review board policy, which are new policies to the district. So, Mrs. Rossler, anything to add?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Safe and Supportive Schools Committee, Mrs. Vicki Rossler, Chair. Mrs. Rossler has a report this evening.
I do have a report. The safety coordinator has a timeline to be, the position has a timeline to be filled by June 20th. We went to an intergovernmental meeting on May 1st. There were borough representatives there, Chief Armstrong, Mike Thomas, Paul Dern, Dave Vento, Mike Dell, Mike Doyle, Dave Seitz, Rich Rivnak, and Dave Majernik. District representatives were Dr. Glasspool, Sue Caldwell, myself, and Steve. The agenda items that were discussed were extra police patrols at the schools. The Plum Police Department zone officers are visiting every elementary school every day. The SRO obligations, tips, line, the dogs, and security cameras were also discussed. We spoke about the borough heroin opiate concerns and mitigation strategies, discussing about a safety day or safety fair involving drug use. We talked about the student IDs for small children, bullying issues, also spoke about drug education. We also spoke about community days, having these community days or open house and possibly orientation presentation. And this was instead of having the forums, bringing information to parents and members of the community. We also talked about a consultant, summer training, annual student drills, tabletop exercises for 2017 and 18 school year, and they'll reach out to county. So that's what we did on the intergovernmental report. That was a really good meeting, and I appreciate everybody who was able to attend. And then we're just, at the committee level, we were talking about the community forums. Alice training presentation for parents is going to be September 2017, and I'll keep saying this in every meeting because it's extremely important to have the parents involved in this because we're going to start having the kids involved in this Alice training. We'll continue teen drug use and mental health awareness also. And like I said, continue to bring information to the community and to the parents is our goal to help
Vicki,
them.
real quick question.
Yes.
The Alice training, is that going to be, I mean, as far as we're concerned, we haven't had the junior high and the high school yet trained on that, have we?
Correct.
The students? So it's going to be it's going to be a rollout of K to 12
So the
for all the
plan-
training?
The plan right now is to, we have meetings scheduled every month, and we're getting the presentation together. Once the presentation is together, we're going to have presentations to parents and the community so they can see what the presentation is going to be, and then it will be in groups of like 25 to 30 classrooms, starting with the seniors and trying to get the seniors done in September, and then moving seniors on down to 7th grade is what we have planned thus far. And we'll gather some information, feedback, and decide next steps. But it's important, we believe, to let the parents see what the kids are going to see first. And again, we'll video record that and put it up for parents.
And that's a partnership with the SRO and the police
Yes,
department?
and yes, both, and actually Sergeant Ricketts will also help this whole year with the implementation.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, they've been really, I mean, we have a good relationship with the whole entire police department and council, so it
So
works out.
It should be okay, and parents can opt out, so they can opt out of that training if they so desire.
If
So
they want their child
If they
to?
want their child not
Oh,
to
okay.
participate in the Alice training.
And I
So-
think that forum's going to be extremely important, so we'll keep talking about that to get the word out. That's
Thank
all I
you.
have.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Mr. Jim Rogers, Chair. There is no report this evening. Athletic Committee, Mrs. Michelle Gallagher, Chair. Recommend approval to hire the following coaches for the 16-17 school year at the contracted rates as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire the following coaches for the 17-18 fall season at the contracted rates as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the following volunteer coaches for the 17-18 fall season as listed.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mrs. Gallagher has a brief report this evening.
Brief report, again, it's just letting our parents know that fall physicals are ongoing, and before we know it, our fall season will be upon us in August, so they may want to look at the website and check out the Family ID, and there's sections that need to be in there, sections 5 and 6, and enroll your student in any fall sport. I also wanted to mention that, you know, we go through all of these massive lists of coaches. We do this every year. Nobody's ever guaranteed the position of, you know, they are asked. And it's not like a contractual thing that we do like with teachers. It is something that we vote on as a board every month. And, you know, Mr. Alpina, the athletic director, I mean, he does a lot of work in asking and making sure that people, you know, that there is, you know, a coach in every position. And it's brought to us every year around this time for the fall. I believe there was some that was even going into possibly spring, because he's already working on that, and we just finished spring. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of, the board votes every year on coaches. Thank you.
Thank you. Food Service and Nutrition Committee, Mr. Hickman, Chair. Recommend approval to increase the cost of lunches effective for the 17-18 school year as listed. So elementary lunch prices are currently $2.35. Next year, they'll be $2.45. Secondary lunch prices currently are $2.60, will be $2.70. A lot of this is out of our hands. We have certain guidelines we have to follow according to the National School Lunch Program. This also came out of our audit.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There is no Food Service Committee report this evening. Intergovernmental Committee, Mrs. Susan Caldwell, Chair. I believe that Mrs. Rosser had the report pretty much covered from the intergovernmental.
Thanks, Sue, for allowing me to do that.
Forbes Road Career and Technology Center, Mr. Jim Rogers, representative. Recommend approval to accept the Forbes Road Career Technology Center 2017-18 budget as presented.
On behalf of the committee, I make that recommendation.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Rogers has a brief report this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Glasspool. Just a couple quick things. The enrollment is up a little bit compared to last year, but they still need some of the districts to submit the schedules because some of the districts are holding back on their schedules. But the original, the enrollment at the same as this year as last year is up a little bit. And the other thing is on Wednesday, May 25th, they had this certification presentation here at Plum High School. There were 167 students received certificates, and the place was rocking. And it was just a great night. Everybody was cheering and hollering, and they loved the place. I got numerous comments about how good it was, how professional it was. It was very well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, both Mr. Rogers and I were here, and again, I always try to say this is, our students that attend Forbes usually do extremely well in the competitions and other programs, whether it's Skills USA or FBLA. No matter what it is, our students typically do very well. So and again, a lot of them graduated as they have a student of each trade, and very often one of the Plum students won that honor. So congratulations to all those students as well. Eastern Area Schools, Mrs. Michelle Gallagher, representative. Mrs. Gallagher has a brief report.
Very brief. We did not meet last week. There wasn't a quorum for us to meet, so I assume we're going to be in June. However, Sunrise Schools has their graduation next week, and I would like to attend. However, I think I'll be conflicted because we have a meeting on Tuesday. I think they have 15 graduates, so
You could probably
congratulations to all
go
those
to
students.
the graduation, come back, we'll still be talking.
Maybe. Sounds like a great idea.
If it rains halfway through.
Thank you. Legislative Policy Council, Mrs. Michelle Stepnick, representative. I believe you took care of that report in finance. Thank you. President's report, Mr. Kevin Daldell. Mr. Daldell will make this report.
Yes, thank you. May was a very busy month again this year. Probably too many things to actually mention everything, but we had a variety of concerts, academic honors, and award ceremonies, field trips, including the 6th grade DC field trip, the high school prom, the completion of our spring athletics, and many other activities. And we saw at the beginning of the meeting about the music department. We had numerous first place awards at their competition this spring. So I congratulate the music department and thank them for the concert that they provided earlier. This year we had 90 honor students recognized for their outstanding achievements, academic achievements. To achieve this honor, the students had to maintain a grade point average of 3.75 or above for all 4 years of their high school. So I want to congratulate all those students that achieved those awards. Additionally, graduating seniors received a total of $551,700 in scholarships award from various organizations. I'm sure the parents and the students are pleased with receiving these scholarships, And I would suggest the juniors and the parents of juniors to apply for these scholarships because there's over $500,000 in scholarship money that these students can obtain for their college or for additional after postgraduate education. I'd like to acknowledge the volunteers and participants of the Miles of Smiles 5K on May 13th. This event donates funds to families struggling with diseases such as cancer, and I'm always pleased to see the great support our community has for one another. I'd like to mention this because it is a community event, and there's a lot of Plum people that kind of get together and sponsor these types of events for community members. Many of them are suffering from terrible diseases such as cancer. As a side note, the Plum Running Mustangs Alumni Association helped to secure a $450,000 grant from the federal government to give to Hillman Cancer Research Center. This was in part due to the generous donation and community support from the Stampede in the Park that raised nearly $250,000 over the past 10 years. Once again, this shows how much of a great community involvement we have with our Plum residents. So I want to thank all the Plum residents that come forward to these types of fundraising and organizations. As the school year winds down, I'd like to thank all the individuals who have devoted their time and talents to help our students learn and grow, whether as an employee or a volunteer. So I want to thank you, and your efforts have not gone unnoticed. On June 1st, we will celebrate the graduation of the class 2017. I'm extremely proud of their collective success in both in and out of this classroom and look forward to hearing about their future accomplishments. Some dates to mark on your calendar. As I mentioned, June 1st is graduation. That's this coming Thursday. June 2nd is the last day of school. June 3rd is the Fun in the Sun Run here at the high school. Check-ins begin at 7 a.m. and the 5K begins at 8:30, and the 1-mile walk will be immediately following the 5K start. On June 5th through the 22nd, we have summer activity programs that include swimming, basketball, speed and agility training, weight training, tennis, and volleyball. Check our website for more information. On June 13th is Kennywood Picnic Day, so enjoy the summer. Hopefully we'll have a nice day this year. Camp Invention Summer Program is returning to Plum High School, or Plum School District, beginning on June 19th. Holiday Park School is pleased to offer this nationally acclaimed program. See our website for more details. On June 23rd and 24th is our Plum Community Days Festival at Larry Mills Park, and their information is on the Borough website. And on July 22nd is Stampede in the Park at Boyce Park Ski Lodge, and you can go to the Plum Running Mustang Alumni Association website for more information there. And most importantly, August 29th is the first day of school for 2017-18 school year. So I wish all the students and their families an enjoyable and safe summer. And my quote for the month is, "The way to get started is to stop talking and begin doing," by Walt Disney. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 announcements. The Committee of the Whole meeting is scheduled for Tuesday the 6th at 6 p.m. here in the high school library. The voting meeting is scheduled for Tuesday the 20th at 7 o'clock here in the library. Motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.